first word today is a good one. It's radio. I love my XM radio. Oh, I gotta cancel that. Radio, clap it out. How many syllables? How many syllables? 3. Radio. What? All right. What is our first syllable? Ray. What's the first sound? Then what? And why is that letter saying its name? Good. What is the next syllable? D. What's the first sound? Duh. What's the next sound? But wait, don't write anything. Because it's actually not the letter E. Because the letter E almost never says its name at the end of a syllable. It's actually going to be I. Remember yesterday, we said that I and Y usually can say I or E at the end of a syllable. So it's going to be I saying the E sound. So I want to make sure you write that the right way the first time. And then what's the last syllable? And why is O saying its name? It's at the end of a syllable. Read that word back to me. Radio. That's such a great movie, too. Clap it out. How many syllables? Can you help him? 3. What's the first syllable? Ray. What's the first sound? Then what? A. And why is that A saying its name? Excellent. So I got to put my syllabic dot. What's the next syllable? D. What's the first sound? Duh. Remember, duh, duh, duh starts at 2. Up and around, straight up and down. And then what's the next sound? E. Nope, nope, nope. In that syllable, it's E. But remember, I told you we're actually going to use I. So it's saying I-E, it's third sound. Because usually, hey, Kyle, honey, your computer's giving a lot of feedback. Do you have anything else opened around you? Oh. All right, so usually E doesn't say its name at the end of a syllable. It's only every once in a while. So I and Y will say E at the end of a syllable. And then what's our last syllable? O. And why is that vowel saying its name? Excellent. Check that out. Make sure your radio looks like my radio and then write it. Our next word is gym. Miss Dovey needs to find the gym again. Gym. Okay, clap it out. How many syllables? Gym. Now, Jim is being crazy. Jim is not following many rules. What is the first sound? J. That's right, but we're actually going to use J. So J is making its second sound. Because the next sound, what is it going to say? Well, it could be I. It's actually going to be Y this time. But remember, G before E, I, or Y says J. So the next sound is but it's being made by a Y. Told you, this word's crazy. And then what's the last sound? Good. So read it back to me. Gym. Gym is a weird word. Clap it out. How many syllables? 1. What's the first sound? J. But I told you it's actually going to be J. So it's saying its second sound. We got to put a 2 above it. What's the next sound? But I told you it's not going to be I. It's going to be Y. I-E. So he's saying his first name as a vowel. And then what's the next sound? Gym. What? How do people even come up with this? Gym. All right, make sure your gym looks like my gym, and then write it. Next word is baby.
Baby.
Baby. A lot of you have a baby in your family. Baby. Clap it out. How many syllables? Baby. There are 2. What is the first syllable? Good. What's the first sound? Write it. What comes after the B? A. And why is that A saying its name? Fabulous. What is the second syllable? B. What's the first sound? B. And what's the next sound? E. But usually E doesn't say its name at the end of a syllable. So what are we going to use? Well, wait, hold on. Just because it was mentioned, someone said I, but English words don't end in I. So what are we going to use? Yep, yeah. I-E. So read that word back to me. Baby. How many syllables? 1. What is the first syllable? Oh, wait, not 1 syllable. 2 syllables. Baby. What's the first syllable? Bay. What's the first sound? B. Then what? And why is that A saying its name? Good. So we got to put our syllabic dot. What's our next syllable? B. What's the first sound? B. Then what? No. Babe. E. And we all decided that that E sound is going to be yeah. I-E. So it's making its third sound as a vowel. So we put a 3 on top. Baby. It's a good one. It's music. That just makes Miss Jovi want to say, music makes me lose control. Music makes me lose control. It's a good song. Your parents probably know it. So music. Clap it out. How many syllables? Music. 2 syllables. What is the first syllable? Mew. What's the first sound? Write it. What's the next sound? U. And why is you saying his name? Good. Next syllable is what? Zick. What's the first sound? Z. I'm going to tell you to make sure you write it the right way first time. It's actually Z, making its second sound. What's the next sound? And the last sound? And you're going to use... All right, read it back to me. Taraz, honey, stop. Music. How many syllables? Nope. 2 syllables. Music. What's the first syllable? Mew. What's the first sound? Then what? You. And why is that you saying its name? Good. So we've got to put our syllabic dot. What's the second syllable? Zick. What's the first sound? Z, but we're using Z. So that's saying a second sound. What's the next sound? I. And the last sound? And it's K. Music. Make sure your music looks like my music. And then write it. Next word is truly. Truly. Mrs. Menziano is older than I am. Truly. Clap it out. How many syllables? Truly. How many syllables? It's 2. What's the first syllable? True. Now guys, this is tricky because these first 2 letters that make the word truly, they stick together and they trick you. True is actually true. True. So what's that first sound? True. Yeah, it's t, t, t. And then it's followed by trrr. Yep, those 2 stick together and they trick you because they sound more like but it's not, it's trrr. So what's that last sound in the first syllable? True. No, we just said that. Trrr. What's next? Ooh. So I'm just going to tell you so that you don't end up using the wrong thing. The oo sound is U. Ooh. It's U making its third sound. You're gonna have to wait. Someone's in there. So our first syllable is true, and it's ooh, and the oo is U. Ooh, making its third sound. So our second syllable is what? Lee. What's the first sound? Oh, write it. And what's the second sound? E. But remember, E usually doesn't say its name at the end of a syllable. So what are we going to use? Yep. Yeah. I-E. All right, read this word back to me. Truly. How many syllables? Nope. Truly. It's 2 syllables. What's that first syllable? True. And that's a tricky syllable. The first sound, you got to really pull it apart. The first sound is T. And then it's Those two together, they're sneaky little sneaks. And they sound like ch, but it's trr. And then what's our next sound? Ooh. And I told you it's yeah. I mean it's you. Ooh. Making a third sound. What's our second syllable? Lee. What's the first sound? Oh. What's the next sound? And E usually doesn't say his name at the end of a syllable. So we're going to use yeah. I-E. And it's making its third sound as a vowel. Check it out. Is bush. I need to get a new bush for my flower bed. Bush. Clap it out. How many syllables? Good. 1 syllable. Good. What's the first sound? B. Then what? And it's going to be U. Ooh. Saying its fourth sound. And what's the last sound? Shh. At the beginning of the word, at the end of the syllable. But not at the beginning of most syllables, after the first one. All right, read it back to me. How many syllables? What's the first sound? B. Then what? And it's U. Ooh. And then what's the last sound? Shh. At the beginning of the word, at the end of the syllable. But not at the beginning of most syllables, after the first one, except in the ending ship. Excellent. Write it.